The hammer slammed down with a violent, bone-rattling clang. Sparks exploded like dying stars in a sea of shadow. Eliab didn't flinch. He struck the glowing iron again and again. Outside, thunder rolled across the distant hills, but it wasn't a storm. It was the steady, rhythmic thud of thousands of iron-shod boots. A boy burst through the forge door, his chest heaving. "Master Eliab, they're coming!" Eliab froze. "How many, Cale?" he asked. His voice was a low rumble from the earth. The boy swallowed hard. "Thousands. Syrian soldiers. The hills look like they're made of steel, Master." The forge felt colder than a tomb. "We cannot fight them," an old farmer shouted. "We are shepherds and tillers of soil. They will burn everything. Eliab, tell us to run." Eliab said nothing. His eyes settled on a massive stone half buried in coal. "We do not run, Kyle," he whispered. "We don't need an army. We need a stone." "Kyle, get the bellows. Do not stop." Eliab lifted his hammer. Clang! The sound was no longer metal hitting metal. It was a declaration of war. "Today we forge the impossible." Night fell over the village, but Eliab's forge burned like a beacon. Clang, clang, clang. The hammer never stopped. Cale watched with wide eyes as sparks burst into the darkness. Eliab worked with a fury no one had ever seen. Hours passed. Finally, the boy asked, "Master, what are you making?" Eliab didn't look up. "A weapon." Kyle glanced at the strange black stone. "But that rock won't melt." Eliab nodded. "That's exactly why it's perfect." Outside the forge, villagers whispered anxiously. The Syrian army had set camp just beyond the hills. Their fires stretched across the valley like a field of stars. "They will attack at dawn," a villager said. Eliab kept hammering. "Then dawn will surprise them." The villager frowned. "We cannot defeat soldiers." Eliab finally stopped. "You are right. We cannot defeat them, but fear can." Eliab showed them what he had done. The once rough rock was now a perfectly smooth sphere, heavy, dense, deadly. The boy gasped. "A giant slingstone?" Eliab smiled slightly. "Yes." Eliab walked to the back of the forge. There stood his real creation, a towering wooden frame reinforced with iron bands, thick ropes stretched like the muscles of a giant beast. "What is that?" someone whispered. "A war machine." "You built a catapult," Kyle whispered. Eliab tightened the ropes. "Not just a catapult. This stone will strike like thunder." Outside, the Syrian war drums began beating. Boom, boom, boom. Kyle looked toward the hills. "They're preparing to march." Eliab gripped the release lever. "Good. Tonight, you will witness something no army expects from a blacksmith." The first light of dawn crept over the hills as the Syrian army began to move. Their armor shimmered beneath the rising sun. Thousands of soldiers marched in perfect formation, shields locked, spears raised. War horns echoed through the valley. "Blacksmith," the farmer said, "this is madness. One stone cannot stop an army." Eliab didn't answer immediately. "Not one stone," he said finally. "An idea," Cale shouted. "They're getting closer." The Syrian commander rode at the front on a tall black horse. He looked down and laughed. "Burn it," he ordered. Torches were raised. The soldiers began advancing faster. Inside the village, panic erupted. "Run!" But Eliab raised his voice. "No one moves!" The villagers froze. "Load the stone." The boy and villagers strained as they placed the heavy sphere into the catapult cradle. The wood creaked under its weight. Eliab grabbed the tension rope and began pulling. The massive arms bent backward slowly. The ropes tightened with a terrifying groan. The Syrians were now within shouting distance. One pointed and laughed. "What is that toy?" "Archers ready." Their commander raised his hand. Eliab pulled the rope one final inch. Now they learn. He slammed the release lever. Thunder cracked through the valley. The massive black stone shot into the sky like a meteor. Silence. Then the stone crashed into the center of the Syrian formation with catastrophic force. Shields shattered. Men were thrown through the air. The Syrian ranks broke instantly. "What was that?" the commander screamed. The boy shouted, "It worked!" But Eliab was already reloading. "Again," he said calmly, and the Syrian army was about to realize that the blacksmith stone was only the beginning. The Syrian soldiers staggered backward in confusion. Where the stone had landed, a massive crater split their formation apart. Fear spread through the ranks. "Hold the line!" the commander shouted. "It was only a rock!" "That stone crushed half a unit," Kyle cried. Eliab didn't smile. "Then we aim for the commander next," he said. "If the head dies, the body follows." Below them, the archers prepared. "Fire!" the commander roared. A storm of arrows soared toward the village. Villagers ducked behind stone walls. "They're going to kill us!" Amos screamed. But Eliab remained focused. "Pull the rope tighter! Don't let them see you blink!" "Charge them down!" the commander roared. Thousands of soldiers rushed forward. "We can't stop them!" Amos cried. Eliab looked at the villagers. "Today, you are the crew! Pull! Pull with everything you have!" The lever dropped. Thunder roared again. The catapult exploded forward. The stone tore through the sky like a falling star. Below, the Syrian commander looked up just in time. Crash. The stone slammed into the ground. The stone slammed into the ground with devastating force. His horse flipped violently, throwing him to the dirt. Dust engulfed them. A terrified soldier screamed, "The commander is down!" That was the breaking point. The entire Syrian army collapsed into full retreat. Weapons were dropped. Soldiers ran for the hills. On the ridge, the villagers stared in stunned silence. Kale whispered, "We won." Eliab finally allowed himself a small smile. "No, Kyle," he said. "We survived." Amos laughed. "All because of one stone." Eliab shook his head. "Not the stone. The courage to use it." If this story kept you hooked, like, subscribe, and comment "stone" below, because sometimes one idea can change history. Thanks for watching.